My name is Shekhar Karanje, and I will be your host this evening for this webinar. I was born in Bombay, brought up almost every state in India, so by virtue of that, I know about 7 or 8 languages. I am an academically qualified electrical, electronics, and telecommunications engineer, and I have about 17, 18 plus years of work experience behind me, corporate work experience. Uh, over 18 years, yes. So about 14 years of that, 13 to 14 years of that is into the consulting and advisory space. My last opportunity as an employee in the capacity of a senior manager, associate director was with Ernst and Young. I was in charge of the governance, risk, and compliance solution building and capability building team for Ernst and Young Global, and I moved out because I was looking for meaning. I worked with Ernst and Young for about 2.5 years. I moved out of EY because I was constantly looking for meaningful work, living a life full of purpose, happy career. Of course, I was successful in EY in all my employment related stints. I was obviously successful. I was earning quite enough, a good sum of money. However, I was not happy, and that's such a paradox. Most of us kind of go through these kind of situations. So while you're earning, successful, but you're not happy. So I was looking for meaning, a purpose-driven life, or a purposeful full life, and a fulfilling life. But I never kind of found that in any of my, you know, employment-related opportunities where I worked before. And then uh, yes, so 2017, I decided to move out because there were certain episodes during my engagements where I was constantly coming face to face with certain hard hitting facts where I realized that the kind of situation that we are seeing within India today, with regards to, and I'll take you through the slides quickly as well, right? So, with regards to the employment or the education sector, or you name it, nearly, from outside, for people who are not living in India, for Indians living outside India, the situation in India is all doom and gloom, or doom or gloom, one of the two. So and then when I was coming back, so there were a couple of questions, the deep questions that I had wanting to find my answers to, which is where I realized that working as an employee, these things are not going to help me, and that opportunity is not going to allow me to look for meaning, because hardly, uh, I think, a single digit percentage or less than single 1% of women in your work. Well, most of them answered in a no. Less than 1% answered in a yes, albeit with a great career mentoring. But before I begin, what no, and then I found my meaning in terms of doing this kind of mentoring opportunity with Dheya. So I joined Dheya in the month of June 2018, and I became a level 1 certified career development facilitator. It's called a CDF. And then in July, I became a senior career mentor. I finished my advanced training, level 2, level 3. And in August, I became a master mentor. So since then, August 2018, so I took about 3 months to reach that stage. And since about then, I have never looked back. And there's a huge force that is driving me internally. I believe I have found my passion. I believe I have found my calling. And then that is when I realized I was not looking for a job, I was not looking for a career, I was looking for a calling. So these are the three questions that each of us will need to answer for ourselves. Nobody else will answer these questions for ourselves. Are you looking for a job? Are you looking for a career? Are you looking for a calling? And calling is the highest one, which will always, always, always drive you. This is one slide which I'm sure most of us can relate to. This is from a comparison between what was before and what is after. So examples, and our school heartthrob, now a determined Everester. The ignored average Joe has become a reputed abstract author or a writer. The backbencher is a time-tested entrepreneur. The flamboyant fashionista is now a persuasive diplomat. So, you know, And then we have the lanky little boy or the girl who grew on to be a competitive sports person, boxer or wrestler or archer or gun shooter or what have you. And then the class topper today is a compassionate wildlife activist. Some could be great chefs, great homemakers. Who often stood outside our class is a respected Navy captain. One who failed maths test is a creative fashion designer. So the gist of this two slides is, obviously individuals have unlimited potential. Therefore, one should never ever judge any book by its cover. And this is something that we need to always remember time and again when we interact with children, not just our own, but anybody with regards to when we meet, between the age of 4, 5, 6, 7 to 21, 22, 23, 24, future generation. They are are India's future. They are a future generation, and each child out there is obviously has a unique success story to write. So as mentors, we have great opportunity and we can enable them to write it, right? So this is something that I'm sure all of us can relate to. I'm sure we would have had a lot of those who are on the left hand side of these two slides, and today a lot of them, including us, are on the right hand side of this slide. So I will share with you a couple of statistics. Today majority of the students and youth, by 2022, the statistics say that they will be at an average age of 24 to 29 or 30 years. However, on the other hand, job related unemployment crisis is increasingly raging across all over India. You know this. And schools, colleges, universities, educational institutes are literally spitting out lakhs and lakhs of students annually. While on the other hand, AICTE has closed over 900 engineering colleges. Over 2,400, 2,500 students drop out from the IIT mid course. This is also something that has come out in the last 2 to 3 months, and that number has also increased. Several new, on the third hand, from the industry sectors, domains, that we have, there are new demands and therefore new career occupations, career options, work roles that are emerging across. On the fourth hand, we have over 92% engineers specifically who do not have the necessary skills that the industries, these economic sectors, domains actually need. And this is from a report which was generated by Aspiring Minds as of April 2019. It's a survey, so very clearly, as clear as daylight, there is a huge skill gap. So while India is going to is at a demographic dividend, at an advantage, if there is nothing done today, then it's going to be a demographic disaster. And that time bomb you see there, that's going to be blowing up in our faces. So very clearly, the education system is you and I, all of us know that it is doing a great job as it is. Obviously, I'm sarcastic. Over 94% Indian students, including their parents, right, specifically aged between 15 and 24, the students are aware of just 7 career options. So obviously, this question has to be, it begs to be answered, is what is it that parents, corporates, educational institutes, or premier institutes, what is it that they are doing wrong, right? So these are the 7 career options. About 24% are aware of just engineering. If you ask them what engineering, then there's just blink percent are aware of information technology. What specs specifically? No answer. Over 12%, approximately 12% are finance and accounts. What in finance and accounts? And this is also something that I would like to bring to your attention, that the World Economic Forum has already held chartered accountancy, bookkeeping, auditing, accounting as declining careers. And this is also, again, World Economic Forum Future of Work report 2018. These lawyer careers are declining, and the decline percentage is at 96 to 98. You can Google it. It is out there for public consumption. So about 6% are approximately aware of design careers. What in design? No clue. What kind of design? Starting from industrial design to jewelry design to interior design to automobile design to web design to entertainment design to game design. There are over 108 kind of careers in designing itself. Medicine again. What kind of medicine? No clue. Management. What management? No clue. So this is a state of affairs that we have brought India to. Now I'll share with you some more appalling facts. Obviously, we spend a lot, minimum 20 to 30 lakhs in engineering or specifically those 3 or 4 year degrees, and then MBA costs nothing like than 30-40 lakhs. So by the time child is out by 23, 24, you know education is unfortunately the only industry in India which does not have return on investment. And obviously after that, what to do, whether the child will get a career of his or her choice, or whether they will get a career of chance. We all know the answer. Obviously it's going to be a career of chance. So about over 17 to 18 years of the child's life is spent in education, and huge money is spent, is literally hosed into education, not knowing what the child is going to be, whether the jobs are going to be there, not there, whether the career is going to be remaining or not remaining. Very clearly, case in point, PhDs are applying for railway helper position, PhDs are applying for clerk positions. Yeah. So very clearly the value of PhD is gone far below what probably even a 10th standard student has, right? So are our kids truly prepared? Are we really preparing our kids? Is the education system preparing our kids? Is the corporate system preparing our kids? So in the rapidly changing world today, careers are, probably they last hardly 15, 20 years. Well, BPO jobs are going away. BPO jobs started coming when we were in joining in the world of work, and they are already going away. Chartered accountancy is going away. Being a lawyer is going away. Careers are associated with law are going away. So obviously unclear students will be obviously worried parents. Now of those 40,000 plus students surveyed, this is all over. uh, are using generic words, keywords. What kind of engineer, what kind of doctor, what kind of teacher, what kind of business, what role in the army, no clue. This is another shocking, slide that I wanted us to know, and this is something that is very, very clearly, it should shake us from the core. And this was a report which was conducted by Red Seer Consulting Firm. It was a research survey, and out of 165 billion dollar, 165 billion US dollars of revenue generated by top tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 IT firms in India, over 55, 56 billion dollars is generated by IT firms located in Bangalore. About 8% of that, 7 to 8% of that goes away every year in productivity losses. Now this is just, I've converted that into INR, Indian national rupees for us. 28,000 crores per year goes away in productivity losses. Because of what? Now you'll be appalled to know this: physical inactivity, emotional and mental health, physical health, poor diet, substance abuse. And this is the yearly loss. And in 28,000 crores, I think we can at least have 10 or 4 or 5 unicorns and over 40, 50 sonicorns. And this is a representation of majority contributors of the productivity losses. Obviously it is between 30 and 40 people that are within this list of participants in today's webinar. And you'll be surprised to know the contributors. Majority contributors of productivity losses: physical inactivity, emotional, mental health, physical health, poor diet, substance abuse. And look at that. Gist is that while as education, we are failing our youth, we are failing our future. Employment, obviously, we are failing them because we are not setting great examples. So what is going to happen? That's the question. So this is a reality check that we are just doing, right? So we spend about 18 years in our education, starting from the age of 6 to the age of 21, 22, or 23. At the age of 21, 22, 23, throughout, specifically when we finish our 10th, most of us do not know what 11th or 12th courses to take, whether it is commerce, arts, sciences, or humanity. And again, that also is influenced by our relatives, parents, or far relatives. And also marks drive the choice of course, whether it is science, commerce, arts, or whatever it is. After that, people say go for engineering, medicine. Again, herd mentality. It's a constrained thinking. Just because someone else became an engineer or doctor in our family, we are required to do the same thing. So basically, follow the herd mentality. So we finish our graduation. Now, all throughout, nobody has told us what we are good at. Nobody has told us, appreciated us in terms of what we can do, what can we consider as a career choice. All of those. This is where we become the part of the 22% And then we enter the world of work, obviously not knowing what we are capable of building, developing, creating, whether it is value or not. Obviously, none of our bosses, none of the companies that hire us allow us to create the value that we think we thought during our days of studies that we will be allowed to create. So obviously, we get into work, and then we begin this something called this phenomenon called as dance of life. Now, what is dance of life? There's friction, there's a lot of work that comes through. Of course, we are excited to earn money, uh, and so we keep dancing the dance of life because most of us yes, so dance of life. So I was saying most of us youngsters, when we join early careers, what happens is, 6 to 9 months, and I'm sure we must have seen during when we conduct interviews about for those youngsters who are 23, 24, up to 35, 36. Generally, what we've noticed is these people, they don't stay in their jobs, in their careers, wherever they join, for more than 6 to 9 to 12 months, because either they don't like the job or the environment or the work that they are. So whatever comes out is essentially a level of a large degree of dissatisfaction, and obviously, they start moving around, they start jumping companies, and that's where they start dancing the dance of life. And at the age of about 30, they have a social pressure of settling down. Now obviously, when they settle down, they get married, they have home loans or education loans or whatever. So obviously, they'll have to stay at the single company for more than 8 to 10 years to build equity, to have some money generated to be able to pay for the EMIs. And this is the majority of the employees that work for employers is incorrect. Most of the employees work for the banks. Mid career, so at about 40, we kind of feel that we've settled down, we've earned some money, we've grown in terms of designation and our CTC, and obviously we cannot afford to dance the dance of life then, because we have many more mouths to feed. So we continue, and then however, we wouldn't have reached a stage had we chosen to stay back when we were 23, 24, or 25 when we joined the company. And that dance of life would have definitely costed us about 5 to 10 years of our CTC growth, or whatever growth. Most of it is always reflected in terms of CTC growth. And then our retirement age is generally 60, 65, right? So there's a lot of friction also nowadays, and we work for at least 15, 16, 17, 18 hours. 10 to 12 hours is a minimum given in office. And then when we go back from office to work, from home to work, or work back to home, we are also given a golden handcuff in terms of a iPhone or a laptop. So we are expected to work from home as well, take calls, work on a Saturday, Sunday, irrespective of whether we are in India or somewhere else. So it happens. It's like a taken for granted that you are an employee, so kind of please shut up and work, do your job kind of a thing. Now, the reality of that other slide is, so what happens is, work satisfaction surveys in India find that over 88% Indians hate or do not like their jobs. And these, in America, China, and Japan, Gallup conducted these surveys, and Gallup showed that over 90 to 94% do not like their jobs in America, China, and Japan. Most hate what they do, but still they spend most of their life just doing it anyway. Do you wish to see your children over here? Do you wish to see your youngsters here, even if it means that they are slaving away for their retirement? And when is going to retire? When retirement is another 65, 60, 65. Now, there's another appalling statistics here. Over 76% in the world live up to 65 years, and over 58% live up to 80 years. So there you go. So there's no guarantee. Hell, we can't guarantee your tomorrow. And then, so dreading Mondays or fearing Mondays to work only for the weekends is obviously not a great job, right? And wouldn't you wish for our children to have a happy career, live fulfilled lives, do what they love, create something beautiful, achieve their dreams, become the best at what they wished or wanted to ever be, create the positive value, and positively impact the world in beautiful ways? And if you're unhappy at the end of the day, if you're unhappy with your job, with your purpose, meaning in life, then obviously you need to reconsider. You're doing something wrong. You need to reconsider and consider changing it. Now, changing it to what? Now, how will you take those decisions? Even as a mentor, if you want to suggest somebody, how are you going to suggest? On what basis are you going to? What foundation are you going to suggest? Because there's not much of awareness around us, right? So essentially, we shouldn't be so busy making a living that we actually forget to make a life. And obviously, life is short, and you live only once. So you need to be loving your family members. You need to be proud of whatever it is that you want to do. You weren't born to simply pay bills, struggle, and die. We were born to live happy lives and fulfilling lives, obviously through happier careers, right? And if you notice, 18 years is minimum education life, but over 40 years, because from 23, 22, 23 to at least till 60, 65, that is 2.5 times of our education life. So obviously there is something deep that we need to consider changing. Now, what is it? So, what is happening around in the world? So, obviously, there are shrinking demands. People are not getting hired. The mode of work called jobs is moving away. Work is there, but the jobs are not there. And obviously, education is not career very clearly, because we've seen that. And case in point is, how do you choose a vacation? And to choose a vacation of 2 nights, 3 days, or 3 nights, 4 days, we pay about 60, 75,000, 80,000, about a lakh for two plus two, or probably more than a lakh if it is abroad. I'm saying we plan the vacation, we plan at least 2.5 to 3 months in advance. And the first thing that we do, we don't pack our bags first, we don't book our tickets to nowhere first. We first choose the destination. So it is always about the destination. You go to the market to buy vegetables, you don't randomly buy vegetables, you have something in mind and then buy vegetables, or you buy vegetables and then you come home and cook something. However, that kind of an option, when you spend 20, 30 lakhs in your education, it's like packing your bags first to god knows where, booking your tickets first to god knows where, god knows what medium of transportation you're going to choose, nobody knows. You finish your bcom, you finish your mba, finish your iit, whatever the hell it is, but there's no guarantee that you'll get a job at the end of the day. So clearly career is not just education, it's about how capable you are. And these companies like Google, Cisco, Microsoft, Intel, many more Fortune 100 companies have moved from the standard interview processes of hiring to the hackathon process of hiring. So, what is it that you can do with what God has given you? Basically, how can you use your intelligence to the best possible possibility of the company? Can it be monetized? So what is it that we wish to do, right? So meet Dea is we has been around for the last 14 to 15 years. We celebrated our foundational day first week of January 2020, and we are the only community of positive, open-minded, experienced people who build happy, fulfilling careers. We are the only on-demand mentoring platforms. We have a nationwide community of career trainer mentors and trainers. Our the way we deal with students, youngsters, is always one-on-one. It is not one size fits all, and it is always a destination-based approach. From discovery to destination, it's always about the destination first. Like, you never pack your bags first to a vacation, you first choose a vacation, the place to go, the destination to go, then you pack your bags, then you book your tickets, and obviously book your tickets such that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, not a star performer. Now, if you want to go from Bangalore to Delhi, you don't go from Bangalore to Bangladesh, Bangladesh to Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka to New Zealand, New Zealand to Delhi. Obviously, most of us, 99% of people in the education is what that's exactly what they do. I'll take for me example. I finished my electrical, electronics, and telecommunications engineer, but I'm a GRC consultant and advisor. That's what I've been doing for the last 12, 13 years. So very clearly, that modus operandi is not working, and we have research based decisions. Obviously we believe in something called lifelong hand holding, because we are not insurance agents. These are the principles that we operate by. What does Dheya mean? Dheya essentially means the mission statement, or the goal, the final goal, the ultimate destination, the ultimate mission, in Sanskrit. How do we work? So we have a unique business model through sharing economy. Like, you have the Ola, Uber, and Oyo. So we have the sharing economy. So this is where we mentors are. We are trained through rigorous minimum 30-hour training over Saturday and Sunday. That is a basic training session, and advanced training session is over 3 days: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Once you finish your basic training, you go into the advanced training. Obviously, with there's a little bit of gap, just to make sure that the knowledge that you learn from the basic training is applied, because we are taught knowledge is power, knowledge is wealth. That is obviously wrong. It is applied knowledge is power, and applied knowledge is wealth. So that opportunity is given so that you can apply the basic knowledge, and then prepare yourself, ready yourself to be able to travel at that speed and attend the advanced training workshop. And we bring in our clients through references when we impact them we impact their children through career guidance sessions, career guidance solutions. They experience that, just like when you tell somebody, go, don't, do not buy a Huawei phone, do not buy a OnePlus phone, buy a Samsung phone, buy a Apple phone. It's because you yourself must have purchased it at some point in time and you experienced it, and then you suggest those to buy whatever phone that you believe is better according to you. So this is how they also do. So when we when they experience our mentoring exercise, our activities for with their children, they in turn suggest many more people to us, and this is how we build sticky connections. Of course, sticky connection mean we are for life for the children that we have mentored, and they are our mentees. We work with students, parents, professionals, corporate firms, public private partnership agencies, government bodies, etc., etc. And then sometimes these clients also approach Theia directly. What Theia offers us is tools, frameworks, technology, methodology, systems, processes, techniques, models, and they train us, they teach us, they educate us, they take us through the the 2 day plus 3 day training programs, and they enable us to become good, positive, great career mentors. They share with us access to research database, over 22,000 plus career occupations, work-life analysis, understanding individuals, sciences. It's a strong community support system of positive people, open-minded people, people who are looking for meaning in their life, driven by their inner calling. And there is a knowledge portal that we have access to, there's a learning management system that we have access to. Obviously we also get to conduct many more workshops, trainings, webinars, and so on and so forth, like this that I'm conducting right now. And uh, the way we earn our revenues is uh, shown in this slide. Essentially, we are a community of people, and this is a banyan tree. The banyan tree is the king of trees, and this is where we build our own banyan tree kind of a per se. And from the business that comes from mentors is about 50% that constitutes the business for Theia. Clients who directly approach Theia through online platforms and walk-ins, direct walk-ins, or here they listen to us from others. They kind of they approach us directly, and the revenue is 30%. Social media gives us about 15%, and educational institutes, corporates, gives about 5%. And this is the way we generate our positive impact. Um, that's our leads and referrals. So individuals, so we are out there to create individuals who are going to be standing out in terms of their uniqueness, in terms of their abilities to surprise what they can create, to surprise what they can come up with, what they can contribute back to the society, and do something valuable while they are also being their best versions of themselves. And this is what mentorship is all about. Remember, at the end of the day, we have to the focus is always every child obviously deserves a happy career and a fulfilling life, and we sow only excellence so that these seeds of positivity can grow into thinking big and infinite possibilities. We focus on nurturing the nature, nurturing the individuality, and at the end of the day, obviously, when you encourage a good seed, you provide good environment, good water, good sun, good love, good compassion, all the good things possible. Because education is of two kinds, it's not just formal, there's also informal education, which nobody is bothered to talk about. There's also something which is learned outside the four walls of the school or the college, but unfortunately nobody talks about that. So that is what is also provided, and holistically it obviously helps in reaping fulfillment, creating happier individuals who find happier. We've all seen Three Idiots, we've seen Farhan Qureshi, we've seen Ranchod Das Chanchad, we've seen Raju Rastogi. That is what it is. Look for a career, look for a destination based on your strengths, discover your strengths, then decide the destination you're going to take, get into a happy career, equip yourself, uh, develop yourself, identify the needs. All of this is what the mentor does. Look, and make sure that you have a meaningful and a purposeful career, and thus which will help you lead a fulfilling life. These are the two competency levels of a mentor. The first one is the basic one, wherein it's a 2 day workshop, Saturday, Sunday, and the fees are 45,000. This includes 45,000 plus 3,000 for the advanced training, which is done over 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this is what is the the syllabus that is learned in during the training workshop. The basic training, it teaches us all about human psychometrics, humanology, strength assessment, understanding how individuals work, what are the strengths, what are the how to understand behavior patterns, how to interpret them. And in the advanced training, how to connect them with futuristic career options, how to understand filtering, how to filter career options which are going to be dying soon, how to understand death of work, doing death of work checks, understanding complex cases. You will also get to do your own mid-career coaching and motivational coaching. And then what is how to look at future of work. What are the ways that we can look at enabling individuals to bridge the gap between where they are and where they need to be. These are all those aspects that we will get to learn in our advanced training. This is basically talks about the benefits or returns that we get when we deliver sessions. So the section on the left hand side is what the mentor gets upon delivery of a certain session. These are all career solutions that we have. And on the right is what a mentor gets upon referral of clients. Again, this is uh, what the referral system is all about. Up to 2 referrals, a chapter person gets 14, 3 to 5 16, 6 to 10 is 19, over 10 referrals is 21. Now this is not a business development or a target driven business development mentoring model. You are free to refer, you are free to bring your clients, you're free to promote your Deya's career solutions. Obviously, you'll get the referral bonus and the delivery bonus. In case you are needing help, Deya is always there to help. Master mentors are around, people like me. There are couple of more master mentors all over India. They are more than glad to help you, bridge that gap. We have a community of positive people who are proudly today call themselves career development facilitators or mentors, thoroughly seasoned, highly skilled, highly qualified, and exceptionally open-minded, exceptionally positive. Because at the end of the day, if you are not positive, if you're not aware, mentoring is more than simply talking about academics. Mentoring is about understanding the child or parent or the person, the client in detail. And you yourself has to be, as a mentor, you must be a reservoir of positivity, if not a ocean of positivity. Minimum is a reservoir or a lake or a pond of positivity. Number two, there has to be up to date awareness about what kind of academics, what kind of career options are available out there, what is the best, what is low cost, high value education, what is the nature of jobs that are going to be, what kind of work will be there, what kind of work will not be there, so that we can suggest the child and guide them in the proper direction. Because they're going to be taking a career decision based on your word. So obviously a mentor has to be at the highest level possible. So these are our communities. We obviously have mentors from every walk of life. You name it, we have it. Like this slide shows, we have journalists, we have authors, we have academicians, bankers, politicians, chefs, IT professionals, scientists from the ISRO, DRDO, theater artists, sports personnel, sport professionals, educationists, entrepreneurs, IT, corporate heavyweights, NGO activists, authors, writers, poets, defense people, people from the ex-armed forces, lawyers, corporate executives, economists, development professionals. So this is our world. You name it, I'm sure we have a mentor in that form, or that walk of life. And we have a community of mentors almost all over India, specifically tier 1, tier 2 places. You can see Indore, Chennai, Pune, Kolkata, Guwahati. We have a couple from Guwahati, from Lucknow, Kanpur, uh, and then down south, Chennai, Bangalore, Kerala, Hyderabad, Telangana. And obviously, the central places, they definitely exist. Uh, so the top differentiators that differentiate for us from the competitors. First is the platform, because the psychometric test is developed in-house and it is available in over 13 languages, regional languages. Yes, you heard me right. In over 13, approximately, I think 13 regional languages. Yes. And it's not as easy to convert an English word to a Hindi or a Marathi or a Kannada or a Tamil word. So obviously there has to be that much amount of homework that is necessary to make sure that those regional language tests are equally valid and equally giving us the results that we need to do, that we need to get had the child taken an English test. So obviously, so those points are taken care of. and we have an India-wide community of competent career development facilitators. Personalized session, it is not one size fits all. It can never ever be a one size fits all. It is always a personalized one-on-one, and the sessions are documented. And most of the times, specifically when we have children of the age 13 to 24 or up to 20, preferably 2023, parents always are an intrinsic part of the career guidance session. And then we obviously also have career guidance solutions for early career professionals who are from 24 25 to 34 35, and mid career professionals from 34 35 to up to 55 years. Yes, we also do mid career mentoring and career guidance, and this is going to be the demand for the next 4 or 5 months, because there's a huge population percentage of senior career professionals who have been asked to leave in the last 6 to 8 months. And some more differentiators. We have our core belief and philosophy. We believe the tools that we use are positive psychology and appreciative inquiry, which is pretty new to many people, but actually it is not. It's just that there's a lot of dust and a lot of conditioning that has been covering those 2 points. We've forgotten our natural way of doing things, and we have taken on the worldly way of doing things, which is why today we seem to be lost or not reaching anywhere. A- and then we are not just career guides for that moment or for that specific career delivery session, but we are mentors for life. We hold hands, and then we walk with the child, including the parent or the early career or the mid career professional whenever they need us. So our last 10 years have been about finding new ways to connect and create value, share our the products that we created with the mentors, and building great careers, happy careers, and fulfilling lives. The next 10 years are going to be about applying our success principles, whatever learnings we've had in the last 10 years, implement that, and refine our approaches, refine our tools, refine our framework, our model. And it is a continuously, constantly improving process. And that is where we have increased our percentage of mentors. From what was to today, we have over 2,800 mentors all over India, and this is what we are doing. We are impacting. We For the last couple of years, we've impacted over 88,000 lives, and we continue to do that with every increasing day. And that number also believe in is using the enormous strength of our seasoned professionals community, people who have credible industry experience, who are open-minded and want to do this impact. Basically, see India reinstated in its position of power of the global leader, material as well as spiritual achievements, what we were 3 4 2000 years ago. This is what we work with, the community who believes that this is possible, because with belief everything is possible. So it's obviously a race against time, and we need to make sure that our future generation deserves happy careers and fulfilling lives, because obviously anything lesser is simply, and if a future is compromised, then what else? Existence obviously becomes the questionable element. So obviously the existence is compromised. Presentation, I'm open for question and answers. You could kindly ask me your question and answer questions on the pane here, and I'll be glad to take any questions and answer them. Cut. Good question. Yes. What about losses? See, the survey was not about losses due to external factors. This survey was about internal. Since we were so busy creating Bangalore as the silicon capital of India, we have lost the wood, the forest for the trees. We have lost the wood, the forest for the wood. There's a saying in English. It's called as penny wise, pound foolish. We were so focused on building our silicon capital that today 30 to 40-year-old people are abusing themselves. Do you know that Bangalore is the tender capital of India? This is a state of affairs that we have reduced Bangalore to, the silicon capital of India. So Venkat, the question is not more about external factors. It's about what the internal factors have reduced us to. We were so busy focusing on increasing our salaries that our midriffs have increased beyond our salaries. And today people face issues starting from, obviously divorces, to not being able to bear children, to it is now impacting companies in their productivity. This is 28,000 crores. So in the last 4 to 5 years, I was a part of a senior management team that was sent from all the most of the tier one services firms, Fortune 100 firms. They sent senior managers and above to not resorts that were 2 nights, 3 days, or 3 nights, 4 days expensive resort. Those days are gone. We were sent to Vipassana courses, 10-day courses, Vipassana courses. This is the state of affairs that we have reduced ourselves to. So, Venkat, it's more about what we have done to us internally. We are not able to, we are not strong internally. How do you think we can survive external losses? You are fine internally. Anything external can be well and truly handled effectively. If you're not well internally, then anything external is just it's like treating the symptom but not the disease. The cause of the disease is something else. You're treating the symptom. We need to know what are those. Why is it that these things are happening? Have you heard of the saying square peg round hole, career misfits, or round peg square holes? In the last 65 years, since the inception of our premier institutes, IITs, IIMs, IISCs, there hasn't been one groundbreaking or earth-shattering discovery, not one Nobel Prize winner from India. And this is what Mr. Narayan Murthy keeps complaining about. While Pranab Mukherjee goes and talks to the IIT saying that we do not need you people to go and sell detergents at MNCs. This is what we have done to our education system. What is the point in having these kind of education systems when there is no there's no return on investment? So Venkat, it is more about internal than external. You first fix your internal issue, then obviously the external one will be fixed. If you keep fixing external issues without knowing what, this is where our PDCA, Perform, Do, Check, Act, DMA, ICR, it's all about fixing internal issues. Our Six Sigma, you name it, Lean Six Sigma, everything is about going root cause analysis, corrective action, preventive action plan. It's always about the root cause. ITIL, incident or a problem. If it's an incident, obviously you will not have many solutions for it. But if it's a problem, you need to know the root cause. You always address the root cause. You never attack the external factors. Obviously, the survey did not measure. It was not meant to measure external factors. Any other questions? I hope I have answered your question, Venkat. At least my attempt, sincere attempt. Regards to PhD personnel accepting clerical jobs is due to their circumstances. So with respect to these guys who put in a lot of effort, so my request is let us not be negative in comparing them with 10 standard students. If we do not respect and have etiquettes, we set bad examples for those who will mentor. So Venkat, see, your question is, I have never compared them with 10 standard. I'm saying the degrees, the value of a PhD degree is reduced. Today, a 10 standard person who scores 99 goes ahead and commits a suicide. We don't have an answer to that. When you and I were young, 97, 98 was body temperatures. Today, despite students scoring 97, 98, 99, children go ahead and commit suicides. Telangana, for example, Hyderabad, there have been, it's all over the news. I don't need to say anything. It's not setting a bad example. It is talking about the truth. It's talking about reality. What is it that we are doing here? What are we trying to achieve here? If PhDs, UGC has asked that in the last 10 years, all the PhDs submitted will be reviewed, reassessed. That's not me talking. That is the UGC talking. And the reason why they started doing this is because they believe that over 90% are plagiarized, are copy and paste theses submitted. So very clearly, we need to know what we are doing with our education system. We need to know what is a PhD all about. If there was so much of PhD, why is Narayan Murthy, complaining? Why don't we see? And he's right. We haven't seen in the last 70 years not one Nobel Prize winner from India, not one earth-shattering, device, not one earth-shaking product from India that impacts lives. Nothing. Unfortunate. We need to be cognizant of the examples. We need to understand what those are. We need to understand where we are heading, and then repair or learn from our past, because we were the people who had Takshashila, Nalanda, and Vikramshila. We were the people, Indians were the people who taught the world the art and science of metal extraction. We were the people who gave the world zero. If this is the state of affairs, we were the Vishwa Guru. We were the teachers to the world. So we need to very clearly know what is it that we are doing with our education system. What was the reason otherwise AICT would have closed 900 colleges, engineering colleges? Why were they set up in the first place? All right, Karupaya, thanks. I'm glad that it answered your question. Venkat, I hope again, I trust it clarifies your query. We need to start asking the why. The what and the how is, well, that is, every school teaches the what. The syllabus is the what. But the why is most important. In my times, getting 70 is great, but there are still suicides. Yes, but 93% of students are aware of 7 career options. What would you say to that? There are over 22,000 career options. Aaron Murthy says it's not a yardstick. It is not, yes. But then why don't we have, if we have so much of premier institutes in India and plus new ones that were inaugurated, IITs in the last 3 years, 4 years, there is not one Nobel Prize winner. Isn't that either there's something wrong with the education system, there's something wrong with the process, there's something wrong somewhere, and nobody's bothered to find out what is wrong? Why are so many engineers unemployable? Not a yardstick. So see, again, it's not a debate that I'm having with you here. I'm trying to clarify. I'm giving you a perspective, and it is always about what perspective would you like to look at it. Problem thinking, solution thinking, right? It's always about understanding what is it that we started off with. Where are we leading ourselves to? Today we are over 138 billion. In another 6 months, we will, in all likelihood, we will overtake China. I don't see our education system, growing the way it should have grown very clearly. We are always playing 3 steps forward, 4 steps back, or 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Even by mistake, I would love to see us moving 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. By at least that way, the resultant forward step is 1 step. But we are not doing that clearly. It's as clear as daylight, sir. I agree with you, it's not a yardstick, but the question needs to be asked. What is it that our education systems have been doing? Why are we not able to generate such great minds? It is not an issue with our capability. It is not an issue with the brains that we have. It is not the issue with our intelligence. Then what is it? Why are we so hell-bent on creating quotas? When there are 13, 14, maximum 15,000 seats in the IIT, why 2.5, 3 lakh people have to apply? Not everybody gets through it. Over 58% gets through only self-study, for your information, sir. 42% goes through coaching classes, and 58%, in that 58% who make it into IITs through self-study, there are at least 8 to 12% who make it through NIOS. They are not even through CBSE. We need to really look hard at the statistics and start asking questions, tough questions of ourselves. Exactly, there is a growth of population, there is more competitiveness, and not many industries or employment opportunities equal. Yes, exactly, I'm saying. So why then don't you think there needs to be that awareness? What are the other opportunities? There are career options beyond the engineering. There are career opportunities beyond. There are so many career opportunities, 22,000 career opportunities. There are careers in humanities, there are career in industrial design, there are career in entertainment, there is career in service industry, there are career related to people, there is career related to creativity. Why aren't we looking at that? Why are we not talking and asking these questions? Why are there only 12, 15 IITs? Why aren't there any more? Today it has taken Tata Institutes. Do you know Tata Institutes have invested 5,000 crores to come up with Indian Institute of Skills? Because today we have been constantly taught in the last 20, 30 years that knowledge is power, knowledge is wealth. That is wrong. Applied knowledge is power, applied knowledge is wealth. Very clearly we are missing the point. We are missing the point by a large margin, sir, with due respect again. Otherwise it would not have been initiated by Tata to have 5,000 crores invested to come up with the Indian Institute of Skills when there is IIT, IISc. Very clearly we, and obviously there are over 80, 90 CEOs, Indian CEOs of Fortune 100 companies out there in the world have come together to invest 2,000 crores and come up with a university in Gurugram. It is called as Palaksh University. You can Google it. It is there. The reason they have identified is exactly what we have discussed in this webinar. It is only engineering. It is only science. No, there are many more careers out there. What about defenses? What about agriculture? Nobody is talking about agriculture. It is always about marks. Marks is not going to give you, it's at the end of the day, exams and marks. Marks is not going to decide how you're going to live your life. Life is different. Examination is different. Today, people dread exams just because of marks. Scoring 90% does not mean that the person is going to be successful in life or excel in life. Scoring 10% does not mean the person is not going to excel or be successful in life. Very clearly, we've made it only about marks and that is the unfortunate irony that we have made. There is no values being given in today's education system. Does our education system impart deep thinking skills, deductive, generative reasoning? No, very clearly not. It is a test of our children's memory recall. It is about doing things right, not about doing the right things. Doing things right. Today we did things right, and therefore we have IL and FS. People did things right, therefore we have PNB, Punjab National Bank scams. People did things right, and then there were Satyam scams. What about entrepreneurship? Does our education system lean towards employment and not towards entrepreneurship? So Mukund, see, entrepreneurship is about doing something on your own. There's a, it's a very different way of doing things. So our education system, always leans towards, if you don't if you don't study, you don't get good marks, you will not be considered intelligent, you will not be considered successful, and therefore you'll not get a good job, you'll not make money, you'll not be able to settle down in life. This is the way people are drilling into the children. That is unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. There are so many people capable. There's a guy who is considered India's Nikolai Tesla. His name is Aditya Shivhare. He learned things on his own. Of course, he went to college and school, but he learned something beyond. Google him. He's from Chhattisgarh, some remote place in Chhattisgarh. There's a guy called Yogesh Kothari or Yogesh Thakur from Rajasthan. He automated a tractor. Come on. Why aren't these things taught in our engineering colleges? It is better we not do. Engineering colleges are teaching us to create semester project race cars, mini race cars. That is not required. There is a village near Coimbatore called Odanturai. How many of us know about Odanturai? Why isn't that village? It is the only village in India who provides free, who feeds electricity back into the Tamil Nadu electricity grid. How many of us even know of this? This is such unfortunate. This is what our education system has taught us. Diploma certificates are just stepping stones to one's career, and one has to continuously learn on the job, whether we be educated in India or overseas. So today, there are people who do things without degrees or diplomas or certificates. You don't need a degree or a diploma or certificate to do what you need to do. This is what we have been, taught, constrained thinking. Without a degree, you may be capable, you may be probably far more capable than that. Indians are successful, I agree, which is why I'm saying, but the future of, I'm talking about the future of India, sir. I'm not talking about the past. What about India? What about those living within India? Don't we owe it to ourselves? Don't we owe it to our future generations? That is the question that we are trying to answer here. Companies are doing well, but still companies are throwing people out. What is the need? If companies are doing well, why is the need to throw people out? Why is the retrenchment cycle happening every quarter now? We are a service-driven nation and not innovation. Exactly, Mukund. We are a service-driven nation. We are not innovation-anchored. We have increasingly, yes, Swiggy delivery boys, Uber, Ola, absolutely. This is what it is. This is the unfortunate state of affairs. In Hindi, it is called "Hamare desh ki vidambana hai ye." It is so unfortunate that we are focused only on getting degrees, only on getting diplomas, only on getting certificates, only on getting our academic education. But what about applicability of knowledge? Zero. Nobody talks about that. Necessity is the mother of invention, they say. So it is necessary that now we recognize that whatever used to apply once upon a time is not going to apply anymore. There's a saying in English. It is called as, when the wind is strong, even the turkeys can fly. Well, the wind stopped blowing strong long time back. It is about time that we now start looking at what is it that we need to do to revamp our education system, and basically do what we can to enable our children lead happy careers and fulfilling lives. We are always running after success. We are not running after excellence. This exactly is a problem, Venkat sir. We are running after success, and success is defined is different for different people. We are not taught to look at excellence. We are not taught to look at innovation. Here is all about creating youth with job creating mentality, not job seeking mentality. This is what a mentor's job is. A mentor should, obviously, initially you will have to do job. To learn something, you will have to do job. But again, why do people move out of jobs in 6 to 9 months or 12 months? Why do people change more than 3 4 jobs in less than 2 years? Unfortunate. This is the state of affairs we have reduced our generation to. It is called as, there are two diseases: false sense of entitlement and instant gratification. This is what is affecting us. But we are before we get comfortable, we need to, it's like the story of the frog in the pan of water which was heating slowly, and the frog could not jump out at the last minute because it was getting comfortably ensconced in the water. We Before we reach that stage, I think we need to start looking at, therefore we need to start doing this. And that is what Daya is all about. We need to do more. We need to do what we obviously did, stopped working after a while. Therefore, we have to revisit our solutions. Because now the nature of the beast has changed. Old solutions will not work. Very clearly, they are not working. Venkat, we need to look at our policies clearly. Many of those policies are not working the way they should. Once upon a time they worked, but not anymore. Savinash, hi, namaskar. Ask your question. Mukund, you enroll with Dheya. Once you've expressed your interest to become a mentor, a career mentor, you go to the website www.dheya.com, and there is a link there which helps you register for the next upcoming mentoring program or workshop or training. Do register yourself there. Our backend team will reach out to you. Support team will contact you. Leave your number, and obviously there's also 2 3 phone numbers there, mobile numbers. You can reach out there as well, and they will immediately reach out to you. It's as soon as you land on the page, the landing page has a chat box option. Utilize that chat box option, Mukund, to ask your queries and questions and get responses to. Okay, I hope that clarifies your query. Karupaya says, is it generalized mentoring or skill-wise mentoring? Karupaya, when you say generalized mentoring or skill-wise mentoring, see, we have mentors from all community. We have psychologists, psychiatrists, scientists, theater people, NGO teachers, principals of schools. We have sports people. So when you say skill-wise, we are not looking for specific people. We are looking for people who are over 38 years of age minimum. That's the minimum age that we are interested to consider mentors for, starting from that age. And then at least 10 to 12 minimum years of incredible industry work experience. That's about it. So it's going to be mentoring exercise where you will learn specific skills and tools and understand what is psychometric tools, what is strength assessment, how to read, how to interpret, how to connect them to career options, what are the variety of career options out there, how to interpret variety of career options, what is death of work, what is future of work, many more sciences, many more frameworks, many more methodologies, many more tools, technologies, all of that. So those are the skills that you will learn during your mentoring workshop. Thank you, Venkat. All the best to you as well. Thanks for sharing your points of views. Thank you, Karupaya. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you so much. Thank you for thank you for kindly listening to my in the 1.5 hours, despite all of those technical issues, technological issues, giving me your 1.5 hours, your patient hearing. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.